everyone, welcome to another week in our very sunny and very dry garden. Now this week we're going to do some softwood cuttings of fuchsia, geranium, ivy leaf geranium and some trailing petunias. Also, if you want to do any of your softwood shrub cuttings, now the time, your escalonias, your hebes, your buddleias, they'll all root well if you take them now. And then if you want to go and take some hardwood cuttings, that's the cuttings with the real woody stems, you can take those like we used to take them and put them into the soil in the garden. In a year's time you'll have another plant. So we'll start with some fuchsia cuttings, just straight nodal cuttings. I'll show you how we get on. Right, we're going to start with the fuchsias. Now we've selected off and took the cuttings from the fuchsias that we like. This batch will all be trailing fuchsias, so I have a label that just says trailing fuchsias. I don't put the colours on or anything like that, because by the time we come to plant them next year they'll all be in flower anyway. So there they are, look, there's the three, and there's another one which was a double but it was red and white, and that one didn't have a flower so I couldn't bring you one down. These are the ones we're going to do. There'll be 20 of them. Now the compost, as you can see, is very gritty compost. At least a third is grit sand with a good quality potting compost. So it really is a really open compost. Rooting powder, or it's actually a gel this time. We're using an organic rooting gel this time. See if there's any difference in it. Another thing to remember when you're taking the cuttings, put them in a polythene bag with a bit of water in, and I drop a wet tissue in as well, just to make sure that they stay nice and moist. Else when you come to do your cuttings you take them out and they'll just fall flat. Keeps them nice and turrid, look like this. I'm using the pruning knife to take the cutting, and I'll take these four, put them in a line, and then I'll fill the tray and show you the tray fill. It's quite a simple cutting. It's called a nodal cutting, so we go leaves off. We'll take those two leaves off as well. You don't want too many leaves on them, as the transpiration will kill the cutting. We'll cut those two in half, and then where this was taken, that's a little bit shorter than what I normally like to take, but what I should do is just square that off with the knife. Look. Then we'll go into the gel and then into the compost. Now put them quite deep and make sure that the compost is right down the bottom of the cutting, so it's not called what they call a hung cutting then, and that will root very quickly. I'll do these three more for this end. So same again, look. Now this one's got two little shoots on, so we'll cut those off as well when we cut them off. So we'll go in there again, look. You be careful if you're using a sharp knife. We'll take that one and reduce that one, and that one, and then we'll just go below that node and cut off. Usually they'll root just on the node and sometimes just above. Into the gel, then into the tray. We'll do another one. This looks a very busy one here, look, so we'll have to cut some off so we'll show you what we're doing. We just take those off to open it up a little. We're actually going to take the cutting on that one, but there's, as you can see, there's far too many leaves here. Take that one as well. And that one if we can get to it, yes. And these, if you turn them upside down, if you want to halve them, it's easier. Not clean off. Now we'll cut just underneath that node there, like that. That's fine. In it goes, and in it goes. There you go. One more then to show you this one quickly. Again, it's a bit busy, so you have to cut some off so you can see what you're doing. Keep your eye out for any disease on them or anything. It's a bit of disease or anything wrong with them, don't use them. So we'll take those off, look. And those. Clean those out of the way. We're actually going to take the cutting from there. So those leaves aren't too bad. I might just half that one out. You see? Now this one, I'm actually going to stop and reject this one because I don't know if I can show you. Can you see that little bit of brown on that leaf? That's a little bit of rust. Now we're not going to take a cutting off a fuchsia with rust on and give it to the rest, so reject that one completely. Have a look, that's fine, that one. You see this one has actually got a fruit on it, but that doesn't matter, we'll be cutting that off. Again, just we'll cut some off so we can see what we're doing. There you go. And then we'll take that leaf, that leaf. These are far too big to leave that big. Like that. And again, just below that node, into the hormones and into the tray. Now I'll finish this tray of fuchsia and then come back to you and show you how we do the geraniums, ivy leaf geraniums and trailing petunias. Now that's the trailing fuchsia tray nearly finished. It's a 24, not a 20, so I'll fetch 4 more up and finish that tray off. We've got it in the soak tray now with some nice warm water in, and I'm just going to pop a cover on, and we've put a fleece behind it against the glass just to calm the sunshine down a bit so they don't burn off. Now it's also a good time of year to take some cuttings off the geraniums, but we may as well take the cuttings while they're there, because when we store the plants we will cut them down anyway. So if we've got cuttings, and then by spring these will be very strong plants ready for planting out. It's quite simple. If you have a flower stem, just snap that off. Okay, now it's a nodal cutting again, so we just take the leaves off. Can you see that leaf's not very good, so we take that off. That leaf's not too bad, a little bit of dark in there, but that's fine. And then we'll take these off. Look, I've forgotten the name again, so Graham will have to tell me. I always forget the name of these little leaflet things. And then cut below a node, like similar to a fuchsia cutting, into the gel, and then into the compost is the same, very open. That's the secret. And get it down and make sure it's held in. Same again then. No flowers on this one, so it's just a bit straight cutting. As you can see, there's another little shoot coming off there, look, but we'll remove that with the leaf as well. So just take these off. And take that one off. I said there's no flower, look, but there is. So we'll just snap that flower off. We'll take that off. Take that off. They'll be fine like that. We take these little bits off here because normally these are the first things that will go rotten and get mildew on them, and then it rots into the stem. So if you can just take them off, you can't get every single one off, but if you can get some off, it just gives them a little bit of a start. Okay, take that one off, look, and then we'll do the cutting under that one there. Can you see? Straight through, and then into the liquid. You can use powder as well, it's all the same, and into the compost. You can do all your cuttings, your softwood cuttings like this. If you're doing heavies, etc., it's exactly the same, but just make sure you got a good open compost. So there we are, look. It's a good cutting to take that one. So take that off. Take that off. Then we have a look, see what we got. I think that would just bend down, and a long way for the sap to go on that one. Let's just take these little bits off. There is the makings of a little flower in there, but I'm not going to take it off because I don't want to break the tip of the cutting off at all. So we just, let's go below this node here, straight through. Nice little cutting that. And my stick, let's try and hide. So there's one more. Put him in. Make him firm, must be firm. Now, going at this time of year, you don't really need any bottom heat on these. If you do these in the winter, you'll have to put bottom heat under it. This one's got a divider there, so I have to make my mind up which one I'm going for. So I'm going to have that one and take this one off. That's waste now. Same again, look. Just cut them back. There we go. We'll keep that one, take that big one off, I think. Usually find these big leaves will go down, but if they go down, we can soon take them off. But if you see the cost of a decent sized geranium next year, and you look that if you do this now, these will be fair sized plants, overwintered, and then off in the spring. We'll pot them up in the spring. There we go, look. In it goes. So that's the geraniums done. These are your trailing petunias. It's quite a pretty one, so it's well worth propagating, and they do propagate quite easily. But they're quite busy plants, as you can see, so we've got a lot of cutting to do. So and you'll find these are, when you're touching them, they get quite sticky, and they'll stick to the knife as well. So let's take some leaves off and see what we've got. Now there's a flower shoot there, look. Let me turn it. There's a flower shoot there. But there's the tip we want, which has got another flower coming, but that's fine. So we'll take that flower off, and these leaves here, that's a flower that's finished, so that needs to come off, and then we'll root that off. So take that out, take that used flower out. Now we're going to take that flower off. That's nice. Don't worry about those two, they'll probably go like yellow and fall off anyway. And then we'll go under there, and see, we'll go under that node for the cutting. That's it. Quite sticky, these. Clean it all up, make sure there's nothing dead on it, and then same again, nice and deep in the compost. And it's always good to do a few of the trailing petunias. You can save yourself quite a bit of money next year. This one looks busy again. Let's cut some off and see what we've got. Let's cut these bottom ones out first. Look. I think those can go. Let's take that flower off that's not and then let's clean some of this out so we can see. Right, you can see now and the cutting is taking shape. That flower and that flower will take off, and we'll take the cutting with the rest. There you go. And then we'll go nicely under this big node here, and now root off very quick. That will. That's it. There's a little bit on there just to take off. Look, that's fine. That's good cutting. In again. Make sure they're well firmed in the bottom. And there's one more. This one looks like it's going to be a difficult one, but we'll get our way through it. We'll take some off the bottom, look, so we can see what we've got. Now if you see, some of these have got little tiny shoots on. We'll leave those because they'll probably grow, but we'll take that dead piece off. We'll take the old flowers off. And that one as well, not there. See if we can get that old flower there. There you go. Let's clean that off now. So we're going to leave that little shoot, but remove that leaf. And then round here, look, we'll take that leaf off. That leaf, a bit sticky all the time, these things. And take that off. There you are. There's a used flower at the top, look, still coming, but that'll fall off anyway. So if we cut under this nice big node here, that will root off in no time now. And into there. And that's the 3 trailing petunias done. The next thing we can take some cuttings off are the ivy leaf geraniums. These are nice bright red ones. I couldn't get you a flower, but believe me, they're rather showy, so we'll have a few of those as well. Exactly the same. If I hold it out, there's the cutting, there's a flower head there. Look, we'll take that off anyway when we're doing it. Take that leaf off and take these leaflets, I call them, off. Cut under that one, and that's the cutting finished. Okay, so let's do it. Now you can see there's another, let me show you when I get these off. There's another shoot growing there, look. But we'll leave that because then that will actually grow through as well. So there you are, good cutting. In the jar. And in. And as it grows, that shoot we buried will come through and you'll have an extra one on that one. This one, look, that's straightforward. We'll go under there, remove that leaf and that leaf. The little ones, and then pop it in. Okay? That one fell off. That one. Take these off. Under there, cut in the liquid and into the compost. Nice and firm. Firm them well. Same again, another straightforward one. Look. Take that off. Take that off. Take those off. Take those off if we can. Can't get everyone off, it doesn't matter. Go under that node, in the liquid, and in we go. So, I think there's one more left. Yes, one. This one's got a flower on it, as I said before, so we'll just take that off anyway. Remember how to take your flowers off. Hold the stem, just snap them. And then cut your leaves. I think we'll have this leaf off as well, because there's plenty there for it. We'll clean the small pieces off. There you go. Careful when you're taking these off, if you snap down too hard you'll break the top off. And then below, and into the gel, into the compost. Remember, all your softwood cuttings are all done like this, the same. What I'm going to do now, just pop that tray over into the soak tray, give them some water till they're really wet through. That one's not quite ready yet. Then we'll just pop the lid on, keep the hot sun off them for a day or two, and then keep them moist. I shall be doing some every day now as the plants around the cottage are ready, and we should have 5 or 6 trays of them, maybe more. We'll see how we go, and then I'll show you them coming on. And then don't forget, we need to dig the plants up towards autumn that we want to keep through, the geraniums and the fuchsias we want to save, and then we'll take the compost off, put some sandy compost around them. We'll store them in here this year, but that'll be to follow, not while the sun's still shining on them, because they're still flowering, they're wonderful. You know, now we're going to just top those potato pots up that we started. I just want to put a bit more compost in one, show you how we do it, and then we'll go and plant some garlic. Now these are the potatoes that we popped into these bags, ready for the Christmas or just after. They're Charlotte, and the bags were half filled, and as you see they're growing up well now, so I should start to fill them up a little bit more. Same compost, and what I do is I feed it in by hand. It's no good tipping loads and loads in, because you have to work it into the potato tops. Try not to break any though, because they'll go rotten. We'll just do this one to show you. But they will eventually be full right to the top. I'm not going to fill it above the main growing area, because I want to keep them growing, because there was a little bit late. So just like that, just tighten the edge, a little bit more on this side I think. There you go. One more down there. That's fine now. So that's what I should do to all of them. Then when they're grown up again, we'll top it up just below the top. Don't go over the top, because we need to be below the top so we can water them. Right, so that's the cuttings taken. The potatoes topped up. Let's go and plant some garlic. Now, I don't know if you remember last week we said we're going to put the garlic into this area here, because for next season this will be the allium beds, the onions, etc., and be in here. So we're going to put the garlic in, and the overwintered onion, when they're ready, that will go in here as well. Now there's been no onions this far down in the rotation for at least 4 years, but I think in this particular, these two plots, it could be as much as 7 years. So here's the garlic we're going to put in. This is the garlic that we've actually saved our own, but always save a nice big one like that, or bigger even. Now if there's been any disease on the plant at all, do not plant them, get fresh, but that will be fine. So we'll break it open and we'll see if we can get 2 rows in. I have got 2, but I don't know if we'll need 2, so we just break her up. There you go, look. And then break it down. The thing to remember is, even though that one looks nice and big, there's actually 3 in there, so do be careful. Try to avoid the very small ones. What we're after is these nice, excuse me, I'm dropping them now. What we're after is these look nice and big. The bigger the clove, the bigger the garlic, okay? I'll sort these out and we'll get ready to put a row in. We'll put them in a foot apart. We've got enough for 2 rows, so we'll stagger the rows so it goes up like that. I'll put one in. Here's the next one going in. The soil looks very dry on top, but when you get underneath it's quite wet, look. So I don't want to disturb it too much, but to make sure they're in 3 or 4 inches, and then a measure to the next one. Just take that one out of the way. Very, very wet underneath. I haven't put any fertilizers in this. They don't need rich ground. Wow. And they do like to be a little bit drier through the winter, so if you're on really waterlogged land, don't put your garlic in. I'll finish this line and then I'll come back when I've set the next line up, okay? Now this is the second line going in. You can see that soil's very wet below, and I'll just show you that. You see where it's broken off at the bottom, where it's broken off the clove and a pointed top. It's a bit like an onion, so it goes in that way round, okay? They soon get away, these do, but they will need a cold spell to make them grow. I'll finish this off now and show you when they're all in. That's the garlic planted. It'll need a real long cold spell through the winter. It might start germinating a bit earlier, but we need to be colder than this. It won't germinate in this heat, and then it'll make good garlic for next year. I've spaced it out well, so I'm able to get the hoe in there and keep it clean between the rows. The other thing is, as soon as it gets a little bit wet, it will rain at some stage, I'm going to put a row of radish down just to get a quick crop out the centre of them. So that'll be it for this week. Thank you for watching. Many thanks for subscribing, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Bye now.